Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 8th grade concept of trend lines. This is standard 8.5D in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 2 off the 2018 released STAAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we've got students in a science class here investigating the speed of sound changes with the air temperature. Sounds like a very interesting experiment here. And you notice that we've got all of this data plotted. It is a scatter plot. But you can see some groupings here, right? So as the air temperature is lower, right, you get down to this 0. It starts out really low, looks like 334, 333, and then as the air temperature increases, you can see the speed of the sound is actually increasing. It's going faster, and so you see this trend. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to use a trend line to make a prediction. So we want to make a prediction based on where it's going to be when we hit 50. And 50 is this very final line right here. So ideally you would have, if you were doing this on paper, you would have a ruler or you would have a straight edge or something, because we're going to draw a straight line. We want to get it straight as possible, and we want to connect as much of this data as possible. So take a look and see these two right here. You see how it's trending up. So since these coordinates are diagonally perfect, they kind of act as goalposts. We're going to try to get right in between those. Since these three are kind of grouped together up here, these are a little bit harder, so we're just going to try to capture as many of them as we can. And so we're going to try to get between some of these, but you don't want it to really get all wavy. So we're going to find our starting point, and we are just going to move up, grab as much of this data as we can. Then we extend it. All right, so tried to get a straight line there. Maybe I bowed it out a little bit right there, but that's going to get us pretty close. And so this 50 looks like it's going to be, this is going up by 5, so 360 is this very top one. So kind of guessing it's going to be that 360. Yeah, it looks like I did kind of curl it up a little bit, so maybe I think 361 is kind of what I guessed. All right, so look at these 4 answer selections. They are just right there next to each other: 350, 355, 360, 365. So let's take a look at that. 350 is definitely not going to work. I mean, that's lower than what you had at the 40-degree mark, so that wouldn't make any sense. It doesn't go up and then come down. It's just going up, so that we can eliminate right there. 355. I mean, it's not horrible, but look, we're basically at 355 when we're at 40 degrees. And so this trend would just it would just flatline. It would just kind of curve, and it would look like it never gets any faster. But that doesn't make sense, because the trend is just continuing to rise. So then I've got my 360 and my 365. All right, so I guess 361. So your 360 is going to be right there. I mean, that's pretty darn close. And maybe I did slant that arrow up a little bit. I could see a 360. I could see that making sense. But what about this 365? Now we're just off the chart completely. So it looks like, if I were to kind of guess, the same distance apart. And as you can see, I mean, that's decent. It just, unless the rate changes, it looks like that's going to be too high. We would just have to we could get it, but then we would start missing some of the data down there if we wanted to try to connect that. So my answer here is going to be H, 360.